Howdy, I'm Chandler O'Quinn, and I get all of my fashion advice from Charles Grodin in Dino De Laurentiis' King Kong. Welcome to Chandler's Travels. I am at Hazel Bazemore Park in Calallen, Texas, on the banks of the Nueces River. In this episode, we're going to be exploring the vital role that the Nueces River played in the history of the Republic of Texas and in the lead up to the Mexican-American War. Hope you'll enjoy it. So, standing here on the banks of the Nueces River in Calallen, well, that would mean something quite significant in the year 1845. Because at that point, the Mexican government did not recognize the border of Texas as being the Rio Grande. In fact, they acknowledged the Nueces River as the border between Texas, a rebelling province of Coahuila y Tejas in the Mexican nation, and Tamaulipas. So I believe this being south of this riverbank, I would technically be in Tamaulipas, according to the Mexican government in 1845. The Texas government, which recognized, of course, itself as a separate republic, as well as the international community, England, France, Belgium, several other South American countries, other areas of the world, recognized Texas as its own country. But Texas, of course, did not recognize the Nueces River as being its border. It said that the Rio Grande River was its border. And that was a precedent that did go back some ways. Some say it goes back to the French. LaSalle, when he was trudging around Matagorda in the late 1600s, the precedent was set saying that the border of Texas was the Rio Grande River. That left everything between the Nueces and the Rio Grande as disputed territory. This all becomes even that more interesting in 1845 as a new character enters onto the stage, the United States. In 1845, Texas finally got a lot of traction on its desperate plea to become a state within the United States. Although we are very proud of it today, that Texas for nearly 10 years was its own country, the people of Texas at that time were desperate to be a part of the United States. They needed the financial stability, they needed the military security, they needed just the sense of kinship. Most of these people were coming from the United States to settle into Texas anyway. So they were desperate to be a part of the United States, hoping that the United States military would come in, protect the settlers from the Comanche to the west, from the Mexican army to the south. The Mexican army continuously came over the Rio Grande and the Nueces. Colonel Wall even going as far as taking over San Antonio again in 1842. So all of these things led to the people of Texas voting almost immediately upon gaining their independence from Mexico in 1836 to join the United States in September of 1836, the very same election that sent Sam Houston become the president of Texas. That same election, there was a ballot measure saying, do you want to remain a republic or do you want to join the United States? They voted overwhelmingly to join the United States. The problem was the United States didn't want us. There were a couple of reasons for this. One of which, it was known that Texas was filled with pirates and banditti and outlaws. Did not want the makeup of the sorts of characters that came out to Texas. But more importantly, Texas had a lot of debt after fighting its war with Mexico. And as the years progressed into 1845, the years of trying to maintain a stable economy, led to even more debt being incurred. The United States would have to assume all of that debt. Then you had the issue of Texas would be entering as a slave state. Uh, Slavery, many of these people coming from the U.S. South, Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, they were coming to Texas and they were bringing slavery with them. If Texas were to enter the Union, it would disrupt the balance of slave and free states, which was very tenuous. This would inevitably cause a civil war, as would happen some 15 years later. In addition to the issues of debt and slavery and the character makeup of the Texans, there was also the war that would inevitably happen as well. Because if Mexico did even acknowledge that the United States could take this portion of Coahuila y Tejas, they would most certainly say that that was the border and that this would then be the new border between Mexico and the United States. And the United States Army would not stop at this river. Instead, they would go all the way to the Rio Grande River, which the Mexican government would say you are in now sovereign Mexican territory, and a war would happen. The United States military was not prepared in 1836 for that war. They were hardly even prepared for that in 1845. But it took 10 years of a continual back and forth. At some points, Texas sending off its request to join the Union, and that being sat on by the United States Congress. Some of the abolitionists, like John Quincy Adams, would go onto the floor of the Congress every single day for months on end, saying, "We must not take Texas. We must not do this." Eventually, after the United States took this application and sat on it, well, Sam Houston said towards the end of his first term, "Well, never mind. We didn't even want to be a part of you anyway." That only compiled with the fact that Mirabeau Lamar would succeed him and did not want Texas to join the United States, wanted Texas to become its own empire, stretching from the Sabine all the way to the Pacific Ocean if he could manage it. But Sam Houston would return. Him, along with Anson Jones, who he picked to be his Secretary of State, would start the careful process of trying to get Texas into the Union. That made a lot of headway once John Tyler assumed the presidency after the death of William Henry Harrison. Tyler was also a proponent of bringing Texas into the United States. At first, they were going to try and do it as a treaty. Since Texas was its own sovereign nation, they would make a foreign treaty with the United States to bring it in to the Union. The problem is that a treaty has to be accepted by 2/3 of Congress. And because of all the reasons that I've listed before, Congress was not going to accept that, at least not 2/3 of them. So then, around November of 1844, James K. Polk had been elected president on the platform that he would bring Texas into the Union. Um, John Tyler saw this as an affirmation that the will of the people have demanded that Texas should join the Union. He brings it to Congress as a joint resolution between the Congress of the Republic of Texas and the Congress of the United States. That does pass because it only needed a simple majority, which it got in late February of 1845. John Tyler's last act as president was to sign that joint resolution into law and formally send an offer to the Republic of Texas to join the United States. The following day, James K. Polk was inaugurated as the president of the Republic of Texas. And he also sort of sat on it, but just for 1 week to actually send the offer to the Republic of Texas. But following a week, he did actually send that offer. And it arrived in Texas a few weeks later. At that same time, he instructed Zachary Taylor at Fort Jessup to form an army of observation, to have this United States force sort of observe what's going on between the Republic of Texas and the Republic of Mexico, to make sure that the United States interests in Texas, which they felt were almost certainly going to become realized, uh, make sure that everything was going to be in place to keep the people of Texas safe in case the Mexican army invaded. So at Fort Jessup, he's starting to accumulate divisions of infantry there, awaiting orders to come to Texas. Now, that offer that Polk sent over to Texas was not accepted by Texas right away either. You see, at that point, Anson Jones was the president of the Republic of Texas, and he thought that he would rather give the people of Texas a clear choice. He had been working for months to have the nation of Mexico formally accept Texas as its own sovereign nation. And he did actually get that achieved. But it took him a few weeks after that offer from James K. Polk finally came in. So Jones sat on that offer from the United States while he was working with the Mexican delegation to try and make sure that a formal treaty was finally approved, recognizing Texas as its own country as long as it did not join the United States. So after a few weeks, he finally had that, and in May of 1844, May of 1845, he calls the Congress into session, the capital of the Republic being Washington on the Brazos. So that joint session of Congress meets to decide, do we want to take the United States offer and become the 28th state in the Union, or do we want to recognize this treaty with Mexico and formally cease hostilities with Mexico and remain our own independent nation? Because Jones waited these few 6 to 8 weeks, the people of Texas were livid with him. They burned him in effigy to say that he was stalling this great progress of bringing Texas into the United States. Congress met, and within a few days, they reject that treaty with Mexico, and they start the process to formally join the United States. Also in May of 1845, back at Fort Jessup, Zachary Taylor receives orders from James K. Polk to continue forming his army and to make plans to go to the disputed territory between the Nueces and the Rio Grande. Zachary Taylor starts to do that with the indication that the Republic of Texas would have a state convention in July of 1845, July 4th, 1845, in fact, to formally accept the United States offer, then start making a state constitution, and then in October have an official vote by the people of the Republic of Texas to become part of the United States. By June, these forces start gathering. By late June, some of them even start making their way towards Texas. In about mid-July, the order is finally given, and Zachary Taylor starts to form his armies, the Army of Observation, to come to Texas. Now, Taylor could have come and taken a boat and gone straight to the Rio Grande. But what he does instead is he does have to go to the disputed territory, but he goes just inside the river. So he figures that Corpus Christi, a small hamlet of about 20 to 30 shacks, about 200 people in total, that would be the perfect place to stage his army of occupation. So the plans are all set, and the first troops start leaving New Orleans July 22nd of 1845. In our next episode, we will follow up this story and see where the Army of Observation and then Occupation first landed in Texas. Hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Chandler's Travels. Uh, do all the things that you do when you like videos. Like it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about it, share the video, get the notification bell, all those certain things. Thank you all so much for watching.